Tight ends in the formation, play fake, Bohannon. Here's the deep ball. They want to put some touch on it. Thornton's out there. Money, touchdown, Baylor, bang!
This is the Sikkim 365 Radio Baylor Football Tailgate Show, brought to you by
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. IdealMRI.com. Premium quality MRIs. Convenient, affordable. That's Ideal. Edward Jones Investments. With agents Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, Tom Albers, and Cam Heathcott. Makes sense of investing. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. The team physicians for Baylor Athletics. Our goal is to get you back in the game. Stonewood Dental. Your comfort is our priority.
Baylor forced to use a timeout. Bohannon puts some air on the throw, lofts it to Ebner, who goes airborne, hurtling into the end zone. Touchdown, Baylor.
Petty Clinic Low T, helping you become the high-performance man you want to be. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. Metal buildings, metal roofing, steel and pipe. The Pioneer way since 1943. Baylor University, where lights shine bright. Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Come by, let's be friends. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131.
A little interesting here.
Yeah, tight formation. They'll go Howard, and he goes nowhere. And he lost the football, and it's scooped and picked up. And this is going to be a 99-yard return for 6. J.T. Woods, an exclamation point for Baylor.
Now here's Paul Catalina.
Welcome in, alongside former Baylor offensive lineman Spencer Drango. I'm Paul Catalina. This is the Tailgate Show. Sorry, Spencer. Short notice, I couldn't have the voice guy do it.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Well, next time we do it, we'll get it going. But what a game for Baylor, 45-7. Really, I think kind of what most people expected in this game, a little bit beyond what I even thought from the Bears today. I thought Kansas might get a couple of, cheap things because this is a team that still doesn't have a whole lot of experience. Mm-hmm. But other than a couple of, a turnover here and a couple of fumbles, one bad drive on defense, they really dominated this game.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was a great showing by Baylor up front, especially. I think the line performed very, very well. And, we got to eliminate those turnovers because that could catch up to us in the end. But other than that, I think they played really well.
The offensive line, something we had you on the show and you talked about it before, but some of the things they're doing, they were not muscling up people like this last year. And while we don't know, they haven't played anybody really good yet. They will next week in Iowa State. We don't know if they're going to have a dominant offensive line for all 12 games this year. But what I do know is that they didn't do this to anybody last year. They've already surpassed the rushing total from a year ago. So that is really good news.
Absolutely. Like you said, in 3 games, they've surpassed what they did for the entire season last year, which is something that is really cool for them. It's a great start, but like you said, the caliber of opponent is going to increase exponentially next week, and that'll be their first true big test.
Yeah, really, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough one no matter what when you roll out and play Iowa State. 254-339-1122. Hayden, can you reconnect to calling it drop for a second there? But that's your texts and calls, 254-339-1122. Also, we'll go to the chat from Jeff Speakman. His prediction was 45-10. Almost got it, LOL. Paul McReynolds, awesome game. Tate McWilliams is money. Squirrel was in the house and got some PT, which is also good. And how about that O-line play? Best guy in the OL. I don't know. It's probably Connor Galvin.
I would agree.
He's the best one.
Yeah.
But of the guys who were not Connor Galvin, I was really impressed with Xavier Newman-Johnson today.
I agree. He played very well. Younger guy getting in there and mixing it up, but you got to do it. Next guy up mentality. He's been in there since game 1, but he's been playing well. Yeah,
he's been playing well. So they're and they did not today. They did a little bit last week, but today they did not, as far as I noticed, and it's a little harder watching on television, but they did not move people around the line anymore.
I don't think they did much. Maybe towards the end, I think they rotated some guys in, get some playing time. But as far as I saw, that starting five stayed as a unit, which is good for camaraderie and that sense of unity between the guys. It just helps.
It's also chemistry. I mean, it's
Exactly.
I think it's harder. It is harder for five guys on the line to understand each other in the positions you're supposed to be in.
Yes.
It's nice to have versatility.
Yes, it is.
It's nice to have versatility, but you like to be in a spot, where it is so that because you have to.
Yes.
I don't know if your casual fan knows this about what you guys do, Spencer. You have to know everything that everybody's doing.
Yes.
At all times,
Yes.
even if it doesn't really affect you that much.
Basically.
Yeah.
So, and as far as like moving positions on the offensive line, right tackle to left tackle doesn't seem that big of a deal. But I equate it to, have you ever tried to write with the hand that you don't write
Yeah.
with? It's basically, it's very similar. Everything's just backwards and different. Your stagger's all off, but it playing the same position just kind of helps everybody mellow out and stay a little bit stress-free.
Yeah. The way, because I was a mighty, much like you, I was a dominant offensive lineman at the high school level. But when I was on the offensive line in high school, and they would be, okay, go play right guard after playing left guard, the first 4 or 5 plays, okay, we're going to run 22 ISO. Okay, what do I do on 22 ISO? I step to the right. Okay, well,
I can flip that.
Not if I'm on the left. Then I step to the left.
Absolutely.
The whole point is to go to this guy, but you do it in practice a couple times, and they're like, no. I'm like, I got it. Sorry, I'm over here.
Well, everyone who's done that, it's
muscle memory.
Exactly, it is, and I hate to admit it, but when I was playing, I got to play guard, and I kept flipping in practice from left to right, and we did some powers. Which the guard pulls on, and it was like, oh yeah, I got to pull on this play, huh?
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like it's very different. But the good thing about Baylor's offense is it's a lot of outside zone, inside zone, so it does make the interchanging a little bit easier for the guys.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it is all backwards.
Yeah. Let's go to the text at 254-339-1122 from Ron. Love the complimentary offensive defense football with his team. Love the offense diversity, and solid tests are coming up. Yeah, that's very true, Spencer, that this team played complimentary football for the last couple of weeks, and that was not the case. That wasn't necessarily always the case in 2019 when they almost won the league. They're kind of mostly driven by their defense, and the offense would kind of come in when they needed to. The first couple games they've done the last 2 games especially, they've done exactly what they should have done.
Yes, absolutely. I 100% agree. When you get those teams that you need to beat up on and put up big points, you have to do it. And like you said, they've done exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah, and how big is that as a player when you, for example, coming out of the Texas State game, they should have won that game by a lot more. They should have. You and I, you were here, we watched that game together. And as a player, there's a couple ways you can respond to anything, but those stick with you a little bit, don't they, when you think what were we doing here where we did not do what we were supposed to do?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that could have been some nerves early on and trying to feel out the offense a little bit more and get that chemistry up across the line. Because, if you look back at the starting roster, it had Orrs next to everybody but Galvin's name. It was this guy or this guy starting.
Yeah.
And it was and that's tough as a player. Am I starting? Am I not? Am I a backup? Whatever it is. And that is tough going in. Once you know what you're going to do, it's so much easier. I just have to focus on this. Like we were going back earlier, I just have to focus on the left guard position.
Yeah. I wonder what it feels like to know that, okay, I'm on equal footing with this other guy, but if I go in and mess up, I'm coming right out. I can't. So what's my line? How well do I have to play?
Yeah.
What if I'm not you've got to feel ready. You got to feel ready to go.
Exactly.
It's a psychological whirlwind.
It really is. And a lot of the times, if it is that toss-up between this guy or this guy, the coach will have some type of rotation in there, which is good and bad. You get the second guy some playing time, but it also kind of messes with the flow of the game for the guys up front, in my opinion. Because, all right, who's playing next to me? All right, I got to get used to his steps, his just movement and rhythm and things like that. So it is a little bit thrown off, but it does help with, if there is a potential injury, God forbid, next guy can step in and be fine.
All right. On the chat room, David asks, what's the key to victory against Iowa State? Spencer, I'll let you go with that one first.
I think it's being able to move the ball up front, to continue to run the ball like we have been. They're a stout defense. They always have been. They probably always will be. And so if you can get some movement up front and keep the quarterback upright when you do have to pass, that's going to be the key to victory there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things we saw today was they didn't panic when it got close, and you saw them sticking to getting better at grinding the clock and running the ball, which is what you're going to have to do, I think, against Iowa State. That's going to be a field position and time of possession game. It's not going to be like you guys used to where those two things were very secondary to, if you told your coaching staff, like, hey, you guys had the best field position and time of possession, they're like, oh, okay, whatever.
It was a bad game for us, actually.
Great. But now that's how, because I don't think that this team, the way they've built it, and it's not a bad thing, but is built to come back from down 17 or more. They're built to play from ahead, which is good.
Yeah.
It's good. Iowa State's built to, you've seen it. They're built to play from ahead. If they're behind, they're not really, a lot of things have to go their way for it to come back, and they're a really good team.
Yeah.
So I expect to see a real slobber knocker next week. I mean, it's going to be, teams, grinding it out. You're not going to see a lot of points. If either team scores 45 points in that game next week, something's gone terribly wrong.
Horribly wrong on both sides of the ball on defense.
Yeah.
Right? You just, I expect a fist fight for sure.
Yeah, it's absolutely going to be that. And, they just have to keep doing what they've been doing. And part of it, I think continuity along the offensive line is so evident with this team. They already had continuity on defense. They already did that. The defense kind of hit the ground running this year.
Absolutely.
The offensive line, not knowing, like you said, who's going to play what position outside of Connor Galvin. Like Connor Galvin knew, I'm going to be the left tackle.
Yep.
And Jacob Gall, when he transferred in, knew he was probably going to be the center. But they had a transfer in Grant Miller. They didn't know, what he was going to do. They didn't know. So there was a lot of question marks. Who this guy or this guy, who's the best at right tackle, and they looked like they settled in. And outside of that, I mentioned to you while we were watching the game, I think Abram Smith we knew was going to be a downhill, one cut, lower shoulder, knock you over guy. We did not see that from Treston Ebner a year ago. We're seeing it from him now, even though he's still Treston Ebner.
Absolutely. Yeah, his downhill running ability, I think, has gotten better. And, I think some of that comes with maturity and a little bit of age. As you progress and play more, it's like, oh, yeah, I can do that. And one cut and go, it's a fun running back to watch as well.
Yeah.
But also who can shake it up, make some moves in there, also really fun.
They figured out a lot of different things to do with him. All right, Hayden, let's take our first break right here. We'll come back. We'll take your calls, your tweets, texts, emails, whatever you want to do. If you want to send a carrier pigeon, if it gets here, we'll get to it on the air. Baylor 45, Kansas 7. This is the 365 Sports Postgame Show. It's Sick of 365 Radio.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. The team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance, and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
For a limited time, refinance your vehicle and have 90 days with zero payments. Only at Genco FCU. Refinancing lowers your rate and you pay less for your car. You can't pass on rates as low as 1.75% for 48 months. Apply online today.
Annual percentage rate subject to change without notice. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility, and loan policies. Go to GencoFCU.org. NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
My money, my future, my credit union. Genco.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
Please do that. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're at 12,100 and something members. And surprisingly enough, they're not all my family members. So
that's a big family.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm Italian, so
oh, all right, that makes sense.
It's just Italian Catholics. We just go. So back to your calls, texts, and emails, 254-339-1122. I'm Paul Catalina alongside Spencer Drango, former Baylor offensive lineman. All right, from Steven on the text line. Is the difference in the line play because of the coaching, and is it because Grimes, Mateos, and Valoria are great, or Fedora, Wickline were just bad fits?
I honestly don't know. It's a lot of it is, I think, the scheme itself. It's a completely new offense this year, and it is more really based on the fit of the offensive line that you have. If you have guys who are designed to go power, then running outside zone scheme is not really the best, and vice versa. So I think they fit into, a traditional outside zone scheme, and they're running really well right now with it.
Also, I think this is maybe coming to fruition that, and I mentioned this on the pregame show today with Smokey, Larry Fedora came in and did not try to fit the offense to the players. He tried to fit the players to the offense. And in a first year, in a COVID year, that just wasn't ever going to work. It's not like Larry Fedora doesn't know football all of a sudden. It's just the tactic he took didn't work.
Exactly.
And it's hard to change, like when you think something's going to work. And then you have also, like the offensive line was the one who, like, all of them had COVID at some point last year.
Yeah.
And so that's the one thing that you needed to get better, and they can't even practice.
Yeah.
So there were so many things that happened last year. And part of it was Larry Fedora came in and he said this, that he did not watch the previous year's film.
Yeah, I heard that.
And it was very famous. Now, Eric Mateos said the same thing, but Eric Mateos had spring.
Yes,
so
that's huge.
So Larry Fedora didn't have spring and then didn't watch that film, and I think it came back to haunt him. So I think if Eric Mateos had not gotten to spring, he would have had to go back and watch some film
100%.
And figure it out. Now, granted, you wouldn't have learned much from last year's film.
That's true. I mean,
but
you didn't have anybody in there. Like you said, COVID wreaked havoc last year. Just in college football in general. And
Yeah.
when you have the entire line at one point, not the starters or not the initial guys you started with, it's just tough to get in a groove.
Well, yeah, and then you've got guys like, okay, we know you've been playing guard, but like we're like we have plenty of guards, we have no tackles.
Yeah.
So now you have to play tackle.
Good luck.
Hey, has anybody ever snapped the ball before? Like, have you ever done that? Like, guess what? You get to learn today.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all these different things have to happen. And because he's in the protocol or he's in contact tracing, and contact tracing was almost worse than getting it because of the rules, because as far as not practicing, because they'd keep you out for like an extra 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, it was weird. It was like it was a 14-day for contact, but if you had it and got over it, it was only 10 days.
Yeah.
It didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, so it was, there's all these different weird rules. So they had these things going on. I think it was like Fedora and Wickline, just a bad fit. Just a bad fit. And they also made a change at strength coach, which, I've always wondered that, like, they changed the strength coach. Clearly, everybody's lifting weights and everybody's working, but sometimes a strength coach just can't get through to a particular group of guys, or it's not a bad fit, because that's the strength coach is the one who spends the most time with you guys, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it has to be a good cultural fit. He has to be able to get along with all, like, the offensive line coach doesn't necessarily have to get along with the defensive backs. I mean, he doesn't ever really have to see them. You have to be friendly, but you don't have to have a deep, meaningful relationship with them like your position coach does.
Yeah.
But the strength coach has to be able to get along with the quarterbacks, the offensive line, the kicker, everybody.
Yeah, and really the strength coach, at least in my experience, Coach Kaz, he helped drive the culture of the program. I mean, you said it a couple times. We spent more time with them because think of all the time you're not playing. Season's only, 15 weeks?
Yeah.
So the rest of the year, you're with them for multiple hours a day, and it's that's where you get that relationship, and that's where the real team camaraderie comes from, is the workouts that you put in there, and then the strength cats driving the strength coach driving the culture forward as well.
Yeah, and so Vic Valoria could have certainly helped change that as well. He was part of the 2013 FSU National Championship game, by the way, and if he can figure out what they're missing, I would love for him to say that. Just got a text from a friend of mine, doesn't know what rock bottom is anymore. I don't either. It's just a bottomless hole.
It'll get better.
Of shame and despair. One day.
I mean, it'll get better.
In the future.
Well, I mean, what Baylor 35 years ago?
Yeah.
Kind of in the same area.
Yeah.
And look at us now.
The part of the problem is I've experienced
the highs.
The highest high. So, like, when I've had steak, I'm not good with just
bologna.
Yeah, I'm just not good with bologna. I mean, like, look,
bologna is delicious, though.
It is, but this is not. This is like gas station bologna. I'm desperate.
Oh no.
Yeah. All right, Steven in Virginia. You're on the Bet US caller line. As soon as there we go. Now he's on the Bet US caller line. Steven, go ahead.
Hey guys, first, Spencer, it was awesome to watch you in college, and I'm sure you really enjoyed watching that offensive line dominate today. So you finally got to see them do it. It took a few years, and now I want to ask y'all, I've been trying to tamper expectations. I've been trying to say, hey guys, like, the score doesn't matter, wins and losses do. And I felt like I was on that train at halftime when it was 14-7, and they were absolutely manhandling them. At no point should anybody have worried that this game would have gone any different than the last 12 meetings. But now we're going into Iowa State. In 2019, a 3-0 Baylor team was looking to beat Iowa State and beat them on a last-second field goal. Are we ready to say that the difference in this year's team is the amazing play of the offensive line, and that the complementary football will allow them to possibly make their way into the Big 12 title game if they beat Iowa State and move on? Because I really only see BYU and Oklahoma beating them right now as it stands. And I'll listen. Thanks, guys.
I would say it's probably a little bit putting the cart before the horse. Like, I want to see how they do against Iowa State.
Yeah, it'll be a big test.
Yeah, Iowa State was in the Big 12 championship game last year. This is a team that was so far from it. But how do they do against Iowa State? But they have surpassed my expectations so far, and I didn't have high ones because I didn't really know what to see. It's hard until these guys get together and play a real. People would ask me what I think of Coach Aranda, and I'm like, well, I think he's good, but last year's not a fair assessment for almost any coach.
None.
Like, Chris Kleiman told us a story at Big 12 Media Days that, like, where, somebody would come and tap somebody on the shoulder, and you're like, oh, you tested positive, and then 6 other guys would be like, we had dinner at his house last night. We ordered, you're not supposed to, like, do that, but, like, it's hard to tell the position group, like, hey, don't have your Thursday pizza night that you always had.
And that's such a huge thing for building that chemistry that you need as a line or just as a team. Like, hey, let's go do dinner once a night or once a week or something like that. And hey, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you're not allowed. Wait, what? Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah, and so they're like, oh, we all had dinner together last night. You know, or like, oh, that's my roommate. You know, his girlfriend and my girlfriend are best friends, even though we, only see each other here. Well, clearly, it's just all these different things. Like, it's coming. Like, y'all, I'll be out here for the rest of the day, coach, but they're tapping me on the shoulder tomorrow, and that's how it was. So I think that might be putting the cart before the horse, but I do think that this offensive line can handle it a lot better than they did last year.
I think so too. It's definitely, it may be too early to tell what's going to happen for the rest of the season. I think they're off to a very good start, but that's just all it is right now is a start. The preseason and the first Big 12 game are out of the way, did great, and I wanted to see them continue to do that, but it is a much tougher opponent next week.
Yeah. Let's see. Contain Hall and make Purdy beat you from the pocket is a wave that's from R Webb on the chat. They're going to have to do that next week. This week's game, I guess we're supposed to talk about this week's game. This is the post-game show for that game. But I was really impressed, just up and down with the defense. They only created one turnover, and it was at the very end of the game. But, if you're getting 3 and outs or punts most of the time, that's a turnover. It's just not as exciting.
It is. That's true. If you're making a punt from the 25 and getting it on the 30 or 40, that's a great field position for the offense. That's setting them up to be successful. And, I think we've talked a lot about the offense today, but the defense played extremely well as well today. So they need to continue doing what they're doing. And it is going to be, again, another tougher opponent next week. But I think they did well against Kansas as a plan of attack.
I'm trying to get the stats are not popping up for me right now, so might have to go to a different website after the break. But 254-339-1122, call us or text us. Got some new messages on the text line. Let's see. We had one here I wanted to ask you. Already asked you that one. Already asked you that one. Okay.
By the way.
Yes.
There's 4 seconds left for Florida to somehow mount a comeback here.
Oh, wow.
Probably going Hail Mary.
Yeah, and Emory Jones, I'll tell you, I was dead wrong in this game. I thought that they were going to run 2 quarterbacks out there. Emory Jones has been an adventure for the Gators. I thought that Alabama would go into the swamp and stick it to them, and it's not what happened.
No, this is a pleasant surprise.
Not really. Yeah, and it's probably pleasant in the fact
for
that
you.
Alabama is beatable, but they've got a shot here. They can get this thing into the end zone. This is probably not great for our people on YouTube, but just deal with it. It's 4 seconds.
Oh no, launch it.
Yeah, that's not gonna get it done.
Boo.
Yeah, when you only have 4 seconds, you got to throw the ball, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bama and Florida just went final. And you see it there. Let's see. I think this is from Jane Harville. I think I read somewhere that Xavier Newman-Johnson's father died this past week. Do you know if that's correct? If so, his performance today was even more remarkable. Yes, he did. Died a week ago today. And so that's really, unbelievable. He played really, really well. He's a 5th-year senior, and had a rough year last year, but he was one of those guys caught up in all the mess. So really happy for him that
Absolutely.
he had a good game. His father did die last week. And also said, Spencer, thanks for sharing about your dyslexia. Your openness gave my son the motivation to overcome the same challenge. He's a sophomore at Baylor now. So there you go.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah, my pleasure. It's part of me. It's part of my journey and everything like that. So it's something that I'm open and willing to talk about with anybody.
Good deal. Well, that's awesome. All right. 263 yards on the ground from Gunny Hartman. And that's, 263 yards on the ground was, I think, 4 games last year. That was 4 total games. That's something your offense did with regularity. People often forget because you guys threw so many, deep passes.
Yeah.
That running was really the crux of it.
Absolutely. We enjoyed running as an offensive line. We enjoyed running the ball more than passing.
Yeah.
We
had to run 30 yards downfield after.
Yeah, that too. It made us more tired. We're going every 13 seconds snapping the ball, and we have to run 40-yard dashes to get down there in time. But no, to be able to, kind of impose your will like our guys have been doing this year, it's a really good feeling. It just helps build that confidence up. And if, like, hey, we can keep doing this. Like, we're not doing it well. Let's fix it, fix something different, and keep going forward and keep running.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a team that looks like they can impose their will a little bit, and we'll see if it's on everybody or not. But they can run the ball. They can run the little things are. It's not just about getting the runs that Ebner has that are like 17 yards that are, he's spun around and made two moves. It's about, all right, it's 3rd and 2. Can you hand the ball off and get it confidently? And there are a lot of teams in the country that can't do that.
Yeah.
And Baylor was certainly one of them a year ago. But if you know on 3rd and 2 you don't have to throw the ball, that's huge.
Yeah. And one thing that I actually really like, and it shows the confidence that Coach Aranda has in the offense, is we went forward a couple times on 4th and 5, 4th and 6, and we got it.
Well, one of those times they ran it.
Yes, and that just shows, hey, we're going to get the ball there, and we're going to do it. And as an offensive line, you put that on you, and like, hey, this is on us to get there.
And I think it also shows a little bit of shrewdness in the hiring when he said, okay, well, what's the biggest weakness of our team? I'm going to hire Jeff Grimes, who before he was an offensive coordinator was an offensive line coach. And I'm going to hire Eric Mateos, as the offensive line coach because he's the best offensive line coach that I think we can get. And the offense is clearly focused around the offensive line. It's not necessarily focused around it always should be, but sometimes I think there's some schemes that are like, look, we can get some offensive line, we're fine with that, but like it's about this on the outside or whatever. But they really built around fixing their weakness this year.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah. They really did a really good job there. All right, 254-339-1122. We'll get to more of your calls and texts. Man, my computer's acting weird today. I keep clicking on weird stuff. Let's go back to the C from Unbiased Cowboy. Florida was the better team. They just got out-coached. That play call on the 2-point conversion was a bad play call. Let's see. Pitt, Virginia Tech, Miami. FSU all lost. ACC's a joke. Yes, I agree. I agree. Believe me, I'll spend some time alone just working it out. Just standing in the backyard, staring at a tree.
Scream therapy. Just shouting at the heavens.
Yeah. Neighbor will come over and goes, everything okay? You're like, yeah, it's fine. Just trying to get out my emotions.
Hope you have somewhat of a big yard or away from people.
I don't. I have a big yard in the back, but like there's people on either side.
Oh, well.
They're old, though, so maybe they won't hear it.
No. So never mind.
They won't hear it. So, all right, we'll take a break right here. We'll come back. More of your calls, texts, and emails. 254-339-1122. This is Sick'em 365 Radio and the Postgame Show.
The 2021 Ram brand just received first place in the prestigious J.D. Power's Initial Quality Study. The Dodge brand finished second to Ram, and the 2021 Jeep Gladiator is first among all midsize trucks. Quality and Ram Power Days, only at Allen Samuels, 201 West Loop 340.
Come by, let's be friends.
It's football season. Sports bettors and BetUS.com has your NFL and college football live betting lines up for their 27th year. Why BetUS.com? Well, they're the 3-decade leader, and you can join now for a 125% bonus on promo code SICK'EM125 with cash, or a 200% bonus on crypto with SICK'EM200. The 3-decade leader with action on every sport across the world. We can pretty much guarantee that they've got your game at BetUS.com. Use promo code SICK'EM125 or SICK'EM200.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Call us on the BetUS hotline, 254-339-1122.
All right. From the 254, Paul, after 0U, I guess it's OU, lost to a bad Nebraska. They didn't almost lost to a bad Nebraska team. Can we just put Baylor in the driver's seat for the Big 12? Again, pump your brakes. Baylor has beaten Texas State, Texas Southern, and Kansas. They are certainly better than they were, but we don't know. We won't know what they are until week to week. And it's not fair for the team to be like, all right, guys, you're 3-0. You know,
here's the championship.
Make sure you book your hotels for Arlington. Like, I guess, you know, they like to stay in Fort Worth, but like, you know, go ahead.
Yeah. We usually stay over by Six Flags.
Yeah. But
well, that's Arlington. Yeah.
Rule had him staying at the Omni in Fort Worth. That was a
wow.
Yeah, that was a heck of a thing.
We were at like a.
Of course, that was the Big 12 championship. So maybe like
okay.
Big 12 championship, you stay at the Omni.
That's fair.
Like regular games in Arlington, you can stay at the.
I think we were at a Hilton.
At the Hilton.
It wasn't bad. Yeah.
You know,
it wasn't the Omni.
Yeah. Big 12 championship game, you get to stay in the Omni. Let's not put don't put the cart before the horse. You know, and look. I'm a little bit surprised at how that Oklahoma-Nebraska game went today, because Nebraska's been really, really inconsistent and bad over the last few years. But that's an old rivalry. There was a lot, even the game was in Norman, in Lincoln. There was just a lot of hype around it. Nebraska played as hard as they could. Look, they've got to play hard for their coach. He is in a lot of trouble if they don't get around. So this is a big moment. You know. Even though the fans may be over Scott Frost already, the players certainly aren't. The players like Scott Frost, and they know they have to do their best. They're just limited. And Oklahoma is a team that we saw this a little bit last year. I don't know if they get really interested until it gets real.
I would probably say that's fair.
That might be. It's been they're in you can almost rubber stamp them into the Big 12 championship game every year, and I think they've gotten to a point where, and this is dangerous, where you were waiting for it to get real before you're like, oh, okay, let's kick it into gear.
Yeah, almost playing to the level of the competition.
Yeah.
Their perceived level of the competition. And,
you
know, if it was a great showing by Nebraska today, you know, but if you know, you play a little too low to your competition or get caught in that, you can easily look up and be behind to a team that you shouldn't be losing to.
Yeah, and, you know, if they were playing against a better team today, they would have been down a couple times. You know, the difference between good teams and teams that aren't good yet. I won't say bad teams, because sometimes it's teams that just aren't. They're talented. Yep. They're just not good at what they're doing yet. Is that the good teams don't when you have an opportunity to make a field goal and take the lead? The good teams make the field goal. The bad teams miss the field goal. The good teams don't commit a penalty after you get a first down. The good teams don't after you get a stop on third down. commit a personal foul. They don't do those things. When you're good, you stop doing them, and that's what made you good is you learn to stop doing those things. But Nebraska does those things. Oklahoma generally does not, and I don't want to get in the weeds with people going, well, they did this. And yes, but for the most part, they don't commit stupid penalties. They convert when they have to. It's 3rd and 2, they get a 3rd and 2. They don't find themselves in 3rd and 9 all the time. They know where to be, and that's what good teams do compared to bad teams.
Yeah, it's being on the side of a 3rd and 9 is not a fun place to be in because, all right, well, they're just going to put in their best pass rushers, and you got to deal with that all day, which isn't fun.
No,
especially being behind like 2 touchdowns and you got to throw the ball. Not a fun experience to be in. But yeah, the good teams are disciplined and make the little things count. It's all about the details for little ones. Like you said, they're not making the taunting penalties anymore. Hey, we got a first down, but now we got to go back 5 more yards from where we just started. Right?
Yeah.
They don't do that.
Yeah. By the way, let's go through some scores from around the country. A&M rolls over New Mexico 34-0 today. Zach Calzada looked comfortable as the quarterback. Important for A&M as they take on a very much improved Arkansas team who beat Texas to a bloody stump last week.
That was exciting.
Yes. Bevo was ground into hamburger last week. It was good. Philip Montgomery in Tulsa trailing to Ohio State 41-20. That game's almost over, about 1:40 left to go. They're not afraid to schedule people at Tulsa, are they? Georgia Tech and Clemson. This is interesting. With 8:49 left to go in the third quarter in a game that was delayed by rain for a little while. Clemson 7, Georgia Tech 3.
That's shocking.
Yeah. Clemson's down. They lost a bunch of offensive linemen. They lost Trevor Lawrence. They lost Travis Etienne. Now they just reload. But I think they're a team that's going to take a minute to
figure out
who they are.
Absolutely. And I mean, a lot of those guys, I think, got a lot of playing time last year just in some of the games they had in the score spread. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but figuring out who's where, and again, going back to that chemistry on both sides of the ball. If you lose an offensive lineman or 4 or 5 starters, that's a big hit to your offense and your identity as a team.
Yeah. Georgia wins. Georgia's winning 7-0 early against South Carolina. Arkansas 45, Georgia Southern 10. Alabama, we talked about that, 31-29 over Florida, and they jumped out to a 21-3 lead in that game. So good on Florida for fighting their way back. Oklahoma, Nebraska was 23-16.
Did that hurt for you to say?
I mean, I've been beaten down so much. I'm a shell of my former self. I'll tell you this. There was a time, I have a friend named Martina who's a huge Gator fan, and there was a time where if either team lost, we would call and it was, but the thing was, it was just like the message was always like, ha, 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 you lost. It was just a way for us to keep in touch. We have lost a little bit of touch, although we talk, once a year or so, and it happens with you get older, but, both of our teams have gone through such lulls. The joy is out of it. When they were both good and they lost, it was fun.
Yeah.
But when they're both terrible, and now Florida's getting good again, but, it's hard.
It's a lot of ha-ha messages. It loses its effectiveness.
I know. I mean, because, again, you just expect it. Cincinnati over Indiana in a game 38-24 that was close for a long time and back and forth. Notre Dame beats Purdue 27-13. West Virginia over Virginia Tech, number 15 in the country, 27-21. Coastal Carolina over Buffalo, 28-25. Michigan State improves to 3-0 and rolls over number 24 Miami, 38-17. Michigan 63-10 over Illinois. They haven't been tested yet. And those are the games that have gone final today or that are still in progress. I'm interested to see what happens with Clemson. I mean, eventually they're going to wake up and lay waste to the rest of the really bad ACC. But so far, they're still kind of sleepwalking through the first part of the season. All right, Spencer, let's look ahead to Iowa State next week in earnest. This is a home game. The last time Iowa State was here, the thing I remember the most is their fans were very upset because it was quite hot, and it was very hot. And Iowa State had a sun porch area set up on their sideline with a tarp, a tent, and it was against Big 12 rules. They got called out for it, and they were mad about it.
It does get really hot in McLean.
Yeah,
really hot.
Baylor kicked the last-second field goal to win the game, so it was back and forth. So I don't know how much the heat really had to do with anything.
Yeah.
But Iowa State's been mad about that for 2 straight years and coming back here. So their fans they're going to bring fans, believe me.
They're
always
going to bring fans.
They're going to bring fans. They're going to be as loud as they can be in McLean. And McLean might be a little bit more full at 3-0, looking at a team that you could knock out of their Big 12 championship hopes. A team in Iowa State who has not played well offensively yet this year.
Yeah.
So your thoughts on Iowa State and what Baylor, we talked about controlling the clock, but what their reasonable outlook is for next week?
Mentioned it earlier. I think both sides of the ball up front, it all starts there. If the defensive line can handle what Iowa State's going to throw at them, because it's going to be something, right? You said they've been struggling a little bit on offensively. Sooner or later, they're going to figure it out. Let's make sure it's not against us.
Yeah, one more week. You can figure
exactly.
It out. 2 weeks from now, figure it out.
But a lot of that comes down to how well we play.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as on the offense, we got to be able to handle their front. They're always and have been a stout defense.
Mm-hmm.
Those Iowa corn-fed kids up there chucking hay bales in the offseason, they're big, right, and strong, and you just got to be able to handle them up front. Way back when, we had trouble with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it's in McLean, and it's at Baylor. It'll be, their fans do travel well, but going and playing in Ames is a whole different thing.
Well, that 2012 game you guys played in Ames was, that was like a season, that could have been a season-defining moment on the other side.
Yeah.
Because you had I think it was that McAllister got hurt in that game, or not McAllister?
Yeah.
Somebody got hurt, like one of
Richardson got ejected.
Yeah, it was one of those things that it looked like the wheels had come off, but but that's not really what happened. It was it was one of those things where that was rock bottom for that season. Then after that game, all of a sudden it was like, oh no, these guys, they know who they are again.
Yeah.
But it's tough. They're tough people to play.
Yes.
And they weren't even that as good as they were then. It's just that's a tough place to play. It's a tough team to play. They bring a lot of fans. And I think that, again, Baylor's got some confidence. They're playing with some confidence right now. They were not playing with confidence a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And confidence is a funny thing. It can make you it can make you do things that you didn't know that you could do.
Yeah.
And if they can play with confidence, and they also know that they almost beat this team last year in Ames.
Yeah.
So if they can play with that confidence, this game is very much up for grabs.
I 100% agree, but they have to make sure they're not overconfident. Like we're going to steamroll them. I hope they do, but odds are it's going to be a battle.
Yeah.
And that confidence is a great thing, especially as the players, but don't go in overconfident.
I would think that the first thing that Dave Aranda and the staff are saying is, congratulations on being 3-0, but the team that we're playing this week is not what we've seen. They are better than we've seen before.
Different.
This is a different thing. You have to approach it, differently. Again, Texas State, Texas Southern, Kansas, you go in knowing how that's probably going to go.
Yeah.
This game is one where you don't know how it's going to go, and you have to approach it that you don't know how it's going to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully it's probably going to be hot again. So I think they've changed the rules with the little tent things.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hot, so you got to make sure you're hydrated and all that. But Iowa State's always been that team a couple years ago where they have that one or two good games that can ruin somebody else's season. Well, now they're one of the better teams in the Big 12, and they have been for a while. And so it's for a couple years at least now. And it's one of those where you got to come to play.
Well, and on Iowa State's side, they just lost to Iowa again, something that's happened, I think, 9 years in a row. They're going to be mad.
Yeah.
I know that, and they play today too. I mean, they haven't played yet, but they're coming off of that. They also need to show that they're not just the second place team.
Yeah.
Like they want to take the next step, and taking the next step means beating Baylor.
Yes.
You got to beat Baylor if you want to
Exactly.
take the next step. If you go and lose to Baylor or lose to anybody, you're not taking the next step because Oklahoma's not losing.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And so they're who you're chasing. And whoever, even if we didn't know who was the presumptive favorite in the league, whoever wins this league's not going to lose that much. So you can't start out in the conference losing, lose another game in a game that could spark Baylor onto something.
Mm-hmm.
If Baylor wins the game, they're 4-0. I mean, they've already doubled up their win total. They already, they're probably double up the rushing yards by next week too if that happens. I mean, so
probably.
I mean, that's confidence, like I said,
Yeah.
if you have the right level of confidence,
Exactly.
it's a very scary thing.
It's almost that swagger. You want to have swagger, but not cocky, right?
Yeah.
There's that line of very fine line of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Spencer, thanks for doing this. We have to do it again. I had a blast. By the way, we did get a message on the chat room that somebody said, I feel like I'm seeing double. And let me just tell you this, that you're not. We both have brown hair and brown eyes and beards and stuff, but I'm considerably older. This is what happened when God didn't quit early. Like, he's a foot taller than me, people. It's, like I'm the version, he's like, I can do better than that. I can make him taller and, make him athletic a little bit.
No, you're perfect just the way you are.
Thank you, Spencer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what happens when it's like, oh, no, I sometimes I have a feeling that, like, I was born in 1980. There's like a really good episode of Dallas on that God didn't want to miss.
I get that I look like Bull from Night Court a lot.
If you were bald, maybe, yeah.
And I don't plan on that.
Yeah. Have you watched Night Court?
No, I haven't. Just my parents and their friends have always said, "Yeah, he kind of looks like Bull
from Night Court,"
which is weird. So I've seen a picture. And I was like, I kind of see it.
Yeah.
But no, actually, any larger, bigger, white guy with a beard, I get confused for. Blake Blackmore, I get him a lot. I got Cameron Caulfield back when he played.
Yeah. And Blake's bigger than both you guys.
Yeah.
Blake's
he's losing weight.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as just like taller and like, I'm not taller. You're about the same height.
Yeah.
But
Blake's
no,
he's wide.
Yeah. God,
he's a fridge.
Yeah, God made him that way. God,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, Blake is what happens when God goes, oh, hey, I can even like do this. Wow.
It's like this. You get a picture and you just stretch it.
Yeah.
Some people are built like that.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Just, it is.
Yeah. I just wish you would made me taller. That's it. That's the one thing I want. I don't have to be fast, just taller, just so I don't have to get a step ladder out to get the crock pot.
That's fair.
That's what I'd like.
You don't want to be too tall because then you have to duck to go through every door.
But I don't, like, I have to get, and it's just out of my reach to get the crock pot down. That's all I want. Just tall enough to get the crock pot down.
You can lower shelves. You know that, right?
I mean, it's above my fridge. It's where.
Oh, yeah. That's a good crock pot spot.
Yeah, but it's where it's going to be. I can't lower that shelf. That's exactly where it's going to be. All right, Baylor wins 45-7 over Kansas. Thanks for your calls, texts, emails. Thanks to Spencer Drango. Thanks to Hayden Bumpus. Thanks to everybody who's watched the show today. We're back on Monday at 3 o'clock. Everybody have a great football weekend.